Hey everybody. So we're back again, and on this episode we're talking about branding, why it matters, and how it really affects your business. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, we're live. Excellent. Let's bring Nick onto the call. So Nick,
Dude, you're having your voice and your mouth are way apart.
are they?
Yeah. So like massively. So if you just want to stop that and just watch it through to see whether it's coming out okay on your side, or maybe I'm getting a lag on mine.
Things on your side. I'll turn the video off on our Skype call.
Okay.
There you go. Excellent. All right. So what was the topic again? We're talking about branding. Nick, in your experience, what exactly is branding before we even get into dissecting it?
Yeah, I think well, there are a lot of definitions of branding, but I think there's a lot of bad definitions out there too. Most people think branding is some sort of a logo, or that's how it's perceivably, or that's the, you could say that's a physical representation of a brand. But actually, a brand is a relationship between users or potential users and the product or the service they're about to consume, or the product or service that's available. And so it's the important part of the brand is the relationship. And I think what most people, at least in my experience with branding, not too many people appreciate that you are a brand, or you get a brand, or you have a brand, whether you like it or not. Is just that your brand may be irrelevant. So for example, let's say you've just opened up a new business, and you say that you provide a service. Let's say you're a web designer. Well, without having any track record or whatever, your brand is one of I guess you're not known, so you're irrelevant in a lot of respects. But say if you've been in the business a while and you've brought yourself a really nice set of a really good portfolio of the work that you've done, and you've been able to give your clients lots of positive outcomes, and you've put that on your website, and that's what you're using now, your credibility that you've built, or track record that you've built, as a way to then show your services or products that you offer, then your brand all of a sudden is a proven track record of having done the good web design work previously. So that's your brand now. So I think the important thing to recognize here is that you're a brand, or your business is a brand, a potential relationship, whether you are actively doing it or not. So then the natural outcome or result of all of this is that you should be managing it. As a result, you end up with a brand that's managed by you rather than the one that's not managed by you.
So really, regardless of what you're doing, you're always going to have a brand.
Correct.
Most people don't see brand as what it actually is. They look at logos and colours and guess the more things that they can actually see. Whereas the truth in what a brand is the way you make people feel and the way that they approach
absolutely
business.
correct.
Can you just bring your video back on? I think we lost you on Facebook.
On video. Okay. Sure. All right. Let me get the. How's that? Is that better?
That is much better. Perfect.
Okay. Cool. Right. Sorry. Sorry, we went on. Yeah. So yeah. I guess it's a relationship that you are putting out there, or the relationship that's being perceived by the potential market, and so that's the important part of the brand. It's a perception of what you stand for, and so oftentimes it's a reflection of the users, the values of your potential customers. So let's look at Apple, for example, right? Why does Apple sell things at such a high margin when it's just a phone and just a computer? Is because they necessarily, or they've, at least when they first came out in '84, I don't know if that's true anymore. They were the products that were used by the mavericks. Were used by the innovators and the people who are making changes. I think that's what the Super Bowl ad was, right?
Yeah,
in 19.
It's really a statement of identity rather than a computer.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. So, or let's look at that example of. I think Steve Jobs actually explained this one. It's the Got Milk promotion, or the Got Milk ad. Actually, didn't even have milk in the ad. So if you like when they're trying to sell milk as the product with physical attributes, like it's going to give you calcium, it's going to give you this and that, and good for your bones. It didn't sell anywhere near as the ad when it was created about I think it was Got Milk or whatever the promotion was. Yeah, where it in fact didn't even have milk as the product being shown in the ad. So once again, there you got the relationships is being established through story, rather than even the physical attributes. Of course, at some point, the physical attributes have to be there in the product to support the overarching values that you're trying to show about your product or your brand. So if you're trying to come across as being someone with a lot of integrity, then integrity means that you'll go above and beyond to deliver the outcome to your clients. So let's transition to another good brand, like why did Amazon buy Zappos? Sure, they're a shoe company, but Amazon was already selling shoes. It was because the customer care, the customer service aspect of Zappos was so great. And it wasn't the fact that the customer service was so great. Well, how did they come up with that? Or that's what they became known for. That was their brand. I mean, you could I think there was a video or a demonstration of someone where this is the story that's being told about it. I don't know whether it happened or not, where they asked the CEO, okay, so you guys are going on and on about how good you had branding. Well, let's call up your customer service team at 3 o'clock in the morning and order pizza. And I think when they called up at 3 in the morning, the customer service guy said, yeah, hold the line. And he went and he got them, the 4 locations that were open near wherever these guys were calling from, to say, well, these are 4 places that are currently open that are still delivering pizza. Would you like me to connect your call to them? And I guess in that way, that's where the physical attribute, which is the customer service team's response to a query that's got nothing to do with shoes, translated into the brand that they had created for themselves, which was that we care for our customers, and the feature, I guess, or the attribute of that brand was that we look after you, and so you could have called them up for pizza, and you'll get that. So that kind of showed how well the brand was developed, where everybody that every person within the business believed it, and kind of, I guess you could say, delivered and ate and drank the actual essence of what the brand was about, which was caring.
I think there's something we mentioned earlier, that a lot of direct response marketers will often say branding doesn't mean anything. Where do you believe that attitude comes from, and where's the truth in that? Because I think we mentioned ourselves, you and me, we were talking about some branding guys who got a massive brand, but they don't actually realize they had a brand at that stage.
Yeah, because I came from branding, actually, before I came into direct response. I'd already developed, helped, or at least was part of a team that had developed over 20 or 30 different brands, which we sold through 30-second TV commercials. So I've never held that view that branding is stupid or dumb or doesn't work or is for people with stupid money, because if you look at the world's largest market value of businesses out there, whether it be Google, Facebook, and Gamble, Coca-Cola, Unilever, they all have the entire value. I think there's a report that comes out every year that talks about the value of each brand. And it's the intangible part of all of these businesses. And so to say that branding doesn't work or lesser stuff is not true. Otherwise, these guys wouldn't be spending the kind of money that they are, nor would their market values be in the billions if branding didn't work. So it does work. Now, the question is, should a small business starting out create a brand? Well, I guess it goes back to our original, the first 2 minutes, I think, where we spoke of the fact that whether you like it or not, you are a brand. Now,
so at the level from there goes to how much time should you invest into it, and what should those activities be invested into? Is it clarifying what your cultural values are? Is that what we consider branding, or?
Yeah, I think, you know what, if you're gonna so say for example, you're a brand new business. You've got nothing to sell. Just the fact that you're going to go out there and experiment with different ideas to see where you're going to get traction, that is an activity, at least I believe, of branding, because you're trying to find a sweet spot of the message that you're going to come out with, that your market is going to resonate with. And if that's not branding, then I don't know what is. So just because you're using the vehicle of direct response, which is buy now, click here, or respond in some way to my advertising, does not mean you're not branding. I think the misconception is that when you run a commercial where you're not asking for a call to action, that's not direct response, and that's probably true because it is not. But creating a view of who you are and what you stand for in the mind of the customer, so that you become the default choice when they come to or when they want to make a purchasing decision in that product category, then that essentially is what branding is. But just because the purchase decision is delayed, or the purchase decision is not going to happen immediately, which is direct response, which is act now, ring now, buy now, doesn't mean that
the brand could be some of the soft features behind that. It could be we deliver on time, we answer customer support, we do this.
Correct, that it doesn't have value because it does. Not every decision is made immediately. Not like you're not going to sell a $2 billion aircraft or a multi-billion-dollar transaction by running an ad and saying click here to buy now, because it's just not going to happen. So because there are too many other considerations at play. The risk of the project, all the other product attributes that matter to someone making the purchase decision. So I'm not going to say that direct response doesn't work. Yeah, of course it does. But I think it's.
Here's what Nick Lucas said here. He's another really smart business coach type and runs an e-commerce brand. He said, if you don't build a brand, you're just a transactional business that'll probably go out of business.
Correct. Now that's not to say that you can't build a brand while doing transactions. So I think that's also true, because the way you treat your customers. Okay, so let's make it like really practical so that it applies to everybody. Say if we have an e-commerce store and we're selling, let's say, shoes, just after getting an order, sending someone an SMS saying we've received your order, and at every process or while the order is being processed, like the order's been picked, the order's being checked and packed and shipped. If you were to notify your customers during the entire process that this is what's happened, this is when you're gonna get expected delivery, or your order has progressed from the warehouse through to the shipping department. Now, of course, it's an overkill to do that for $2 product, and I don't think even the customer might care. But say, for example, if it was a product where if you shared with them the journey of the product as it went through the warehouse to you, that would create a positive experience of that you care so much about your customer that you are keeping him notified as to what's happening with his order. Now, all the way through to when they open the package. Is it packaged in really nice packaging with a ribbon on it or whatever? Let's say, for example, if the product is going to be congruent with that. I mean, you're not going to put a hammer in a chisel with I mean, within context, of course, is what I'm talking about here. But if it did come and he created that wow experience of even opening the packaging, that's part of the experience that you're creating with the expectation that you're creating, and that's part of the brand. And so just because...
it's something that, going back to Apple, because they honestly have done this exceptionally well, their unboxing experience is exceptional. I think it's something that tech companies have done exceptionally well. Yeah,
exactly. And so that is part of the brand experience, but it's being done in the transactional manner. And so what effectively you're doing is you're creating a perception in the mind of the customer. So next time when they come to buy books or shoes or whatever our example was, you are the default choice. Because when you say, now, if you want to go buy shoes, you got to go to Zappos. Or if you want to do whatever, web design, go and see Joss.
Go Google
because, there's no need to Google it. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. You are the default choice. Or when
someone saying Google is the default choice.
At the moment, it is because, correct. It's either you or the search engine. And if you are a brand, then no one's going to go to Google, or your prospective customer is not going to go to Google, because they know that the way to get an outcome without running through all that pain and suffering of going through the other 5 or 7 providers that you're going to go through is to come directly to Joss if you want your online tracking done, or you want your online dashboard done using Google Studio or something. Is okay. Who's the go-to guy for that? Well, just go to Joss. He'll sort it out for you, and that's the brand, right? I remember last week I spoke to someone, and he goes, "Oh, you've been doing this podcast with Joss?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, he's a good guy." And I said, "Oh, you worked with him?" He goes, "No, I haven't worked with him." But that's a brand, right?
That's a brand you built indirectly.
No, that's a brand that you've built through the podcast that you've done and the interviews that you've done with so many other guests. Is the perception that in the mind of that person was that Josh is a good guy when it comes to this online stuff. But he's never worked with you, nor has he ever bought anything from you. And that is the brand. And so though you maybe on a weekly basis, you're doing these podcasts or you're doing your interviews, they may seem like just an hour or 45 minutes that you're putting into these interviews. But in actual fact, you are creating a perception in the marketplace about who you are and what you stand for.
It comes back down to brand value. It's the stuff that you can't necessarily measure. There's different touch points that you have with your customers within the marketplace that...
Yeah, it's the intangible. That's what it's called. It's the intangible. It's intangibles on a balance sheet, right? It's the value up and above the real identifiable physical assets or the assets that you can identify on the balance sheet. It's I guess the goodwill aspect of the value of the business, and that's what that is. Whenever you're paying a single dollar above identifiable assets, that's you could attribute all of that to the intangible, of which one aspect of intangible is the brand. But I'd probably say even for most businesses, most of it is brand. Is when you become the default choice, or at least a default choice among a certain segment of the market of the type of product, or to come to you for the certain product or service.
I think that would be the ultimate goal of branding, wouldn't it? To become the default choice.
Exactly, and that translates into repeatable value or the repeatable sales that you get without any ad spend, which then translates into lifetime value of the customer. So, which is a metric that's used in direct response, the lifetime value of the customer.
Yeah. You've said it's intangible, but a lot of these things are measurable in some aspect.
Correct. They are measurable to an extent. So, for example, how do you measure the fact that every kid under the age of 16, their preference for a soft drink is Coke, for example? I'm not sure if that's still true, but let's say that certainly was in the past where the default choice for a drink was Coke. How did that happen? And that essentially is because if you think of the lifetime value of a Coke drinker, and let's say for argument's sake, if the average person, I mean, I know people are getting health conscious now, so people don't drink as much of that stuff as they used to. But to say, for example, if someone did start drinking at the age of, let's say 10 or 12 or whenever people pick up their first can of Coke, and they don't get diabetes till, let's say, 30, that's a good 20 years of drinking Coke, and if that is your default choice, then all Coke has to do every year is run those ads where people feeling all happy and running around in the kitchen with their six-pack abs or whatever, drinking Coke. That's just a message to keep reinforcing the choice of the product in your mind, and it doesn't need direct response. Like what are you going to say? Click here to buy a can of Coke? No, that doesn't work. So because all it is keeping the activated customer activated is what all of that is, and it works. That's why they're worth so much.
Let's take this back to the small business level. Starting a business, let's just say, there's really two segments. You've got a service business, or we've got a personal brand.
Okay.
Now, yes, go and build the branding identity pack, so your logos, your colors, all that stuff. shouldn't spend too much time thinking about that.
Correct.
Just get it done.
Agreed.
Now,
In fact, I've consulted with a business. They spent $200,000 on a branding exercise, and I've got no idea what that means. And they were given a logo for 200 grand. And that to me was awfully wasteful, purely because you don't have an existing relationship. So you could have put anything out there that, not within reason, of course, not anything, but like kind of, because there's no pre-existing relationship to rely upon to work out what do you stand for. So you could have come up with any design that looked reasonably good and just transferred a whole lot of value into that logo. So for example, like the Nike logo, it stands for something, but when the logo first came out, it didn't mean anything. It's the millions of dollars that have been spent, or billions of dollars that have been spent on recruitment of athletes.
I think that logo initially cost them like $50 or something stupidly cheap.
Yeah, and that would be the case for everybody. I mean, if you look at the Facebook logo, it's not like exactly revolutionary, but that symbol stands for something now because of the value that they've provided to their users, which is connecting with friends, all this sort of stuff. And more recently, I don't know, it's almost seen with a little bit of seen as a little bit evil now because of the Cambridge Analytica data breach and how they seem to be affecting U.S. elections and all this sort of stuff. So they're not quite seen in the clear light that they once were, but that's their brand now. Is maybe we shouldn't trust them as much as we have in the past.
Just looking it up because I remember this campaign from ANZ a while back. Their new logo was $15 million.
Yeah, good for the agency that got paid.
Brilliant choice for them.
Yeah, great. And even the Woolies one, like the big W that looks like a vegetable of some sort, like a cabbage, can't even work out half the time what it looks like. That was the same thing. I think millions was spent on that. Yeah, it does. But because it's the expenditure because see, like, okay, so for most, let's look at the banking ads, right? They talk about how they look after their customers and all this sort of stuff. Well, you miss one repayment, and then you look at the experience that you're actually going to get when you call customer service. It's totally contrary. Like no one believes that that garbage that they're putting out on TV with ANZ's got who's a tennis player, the number one ranked player who's their mouthpiece these days. Who's that? No, the more recent one, the Croatian Serbian guy, whatever his name is.
Yes, being the wrong guy.
Djokovic. Yeah, I think that's it.
Djokovic.
He talks about how the image you're trying to create about how cool the brand is and how family oriented they are and all this sort of stuff. That's not the experience of the average ANZ customer when they walk up to the branch, or if they call customer service, or if you miss a payment, and that's reflected in the recent the Royal Commission, right, where they're seen as these greedy banks who gone out of their way to rip off their customers, and that's the reality. And so no matter how many ads you run, the fact that your real brand or the real brand essence is one of let's just screw our customers as much as we can. That's the reality. And no amount of running fancy ads is going to change that.
I guess the most effective way to do branding is to not do branding and rather focus on company culture and company values.
Correct. That's exactly what branding is. So it's not the logo. It's not the logo. It's not the external representation of the imagery you create about yourself. It's the reality of experience that the person has, which goes back to our original definition. That branding is a relationship. Correct. It's a relationship.
Your values should tie into everything else you do, and it should be integrated throughout the whole culture. So really, I think I've heard this that many times people just mention this. Get clear on your core values. Make sure everyone understands it within your business, whether it's a small business, and reiterate that. Reiterate those values.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that it's what the CEO does, or the leader, boss, manager, whatever you want to call it, does. It's what's going to end up being distributed throughout the organization. So if the CEO hangs up on a customer complaint, and turns around to the rest of the employees saying, I can't believe I was dealing with this dumb customer, or annoying customer, or this terrible customer. And if that's being used every time there's any customer interaction, well, guess what? Everybody in the organization is going to call their customers the same way. That's not to say that people don't have difficult customers, but if
you got the written culture and then you got the actual culture, so you want to make sure that whatever you're doing is matching up, top down,
exactly.
kind of values.
That's absolutely right. If as a CEO or as a leader of an organization, if you're going to throw employees under the bus when something goes wrong, then
your managers will do the same.
That's exactly the same. Exactly, it's going to get distributed all the way down to the ground floor, which is why the customer experience of that organization will never be anywhere near one where the guy at the top himself takes responsibility and cares for the outcome that his customer is experiencing.
Okay, I think on final notes, you mentioned a really good book that people can go into explore this a bit further.
Yeah, I think one of the best books I've read on the subject is on the branding side is a book by Ben Mack called Think Two Products Ahead, where because he comes from large branding and then he came into direct response, and so he offers a good bridge in that book, where he kind of breaks this down as to what branding really is. And I think probably the definition of a relationship between that branding is a relationship. I think I probably got that from him. That's not to say that others haven't said that, but that's covered quite well in the book, where he does bring it back down to how does a small business, or how does a business end up translating this into actions that reflect that come up in branding, rather than just talking in big terms which don't mean anything to anybody.
I think that'll be enough for this episode, guys. Nick, if people want to learn more about yourself and the business that you're currently operating, tell us a bit more about that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm running Leads Hook at the moment, which is a software that allows you to, or a SaaS platform that allows you to make decision trees, which can be used across the entire customer journey. So you can use it for market research, you can use it for lead gen, sales conversions, or even post sales conversion. You can make decision trees to then create dynamic content, and that's so the business is, and you can learn more about it at leadshook.com. Thanks, Joss.
Guys, if you want to learn more about what we do, go to iamjossier.com or send me a message here on Facebook or wherever you're seeing this video. Till next time, See you guys in the next episode.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Bye for now.